If you are considering starting your own staffing and recruiting business, then I want you to stick with me through this entire video as I'm going to show you exactly how to start your recruiting business from scratch and provide for you the parts and pieces that you'll need to get going. My name is Russell Liebowitz. I am the founder of Recruitemy, where I help aspiring recruiters break free from corporate America and start their own recruiting companies from the comfort of their home, making over $20,000 a month consistently, so you can have a better way of living and a better lifestyle. No more answering to a boss, no more restricted PTO, travel wherever you want with your laptop, make and earn multiple six figures. So let me dive into my computer and show you exactly how to start your own recruiting business, and I'll show you what you need, what's most important right now, and where you can save money in the beginning, and I'll show you where you should be placing your investment dollars in the beginning. Let's take a look. Let's dive right into it. These are going to be the steps, the tools, the resources that you'll need to launch your new recruiting business. And if you're thinking right now, I just want to start this company, I know I need to get it registered with the state that you live in. You might be wondering, do I need a license? I get that question a lot. Guys, everyone, you do not need any special license to start a recruiting business. I know like general contractors need licenses, but for recruiting, there's no license involved. Nothing is mandatory there. So you can put your mind at ease. Now, if you're going to get into medical recruiting and staffing, there could be certain things, items that you need to protect yourself from a workers' comp stance, which I'll dive into as well. Okay, so let's start with the business setup and legalities. You're going to want to decide on your business structure. I'm currently an S corporation. I like that for tax purposes. Some people do an LLC, a sole proprietorship, but S Corp is what I would recommend for your recruiting business if you're just going to start this company on your own right now. I've started a few recruiting companies in my lifetime, and I've always had a business plan, even a pro forma, and I would recommend having that. So get an Excel spreadsheet out today and go ahead and start plugging some numbers in on what you think you can do in the next 6 months to a year, how many placements you're going to make. I usually keep the first 3 months open at zero, no placements, to be very conservative. And then month 4, I'll sprinkle in 1 or 2 placements, because that's the reality of owning and starting your recruiting business. It's going to take a few months to get this thing off the ground. I would also recommend getting some accounting software. You can't go wrong with QuickBooks. I don't make any money from QuickBooks by saying this. I've used QuickBooks my whole life with my companies. It's the easiest one to use. Any CPA or bookkeeper that you hire should and most likely will understand how to use QuickBooks. So I'd recommend QuickBooks. And the last thing you'll need for a business setup would be a bank account. So very easy, right? Banks are a dime a dozen. Go ahead and open a business checking account. All right, let's talk about tools of technology that you might need going forward on day one, especially if you're on a shoestring budget. So obviously a computer, laptop would be preferred, because you may be traveling as your company takes off and you start making placements. That's the beauty of owning your own business. Bring your laptop with you wherever you are and keep that train moving forward. I'd recommend some video conference tools like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. And I would recommend getting an applicant tracking system in place in the beginning. It's a great way to stay organized. I've used Bullhorn and Loxo in the past, and then I went ahead and created our own applicant tracking system, leveraging high level for our membership base, which is customized. I will share with you that I love Loxo and I've used them in the past. I currently don't have Loxo. I believe it costs around $400 a month, but it's got some great features to it. One feature I love about Loxo is the plugin, the Chrome extension on LinkedIn. Anytime you come across somebody's LinkedIn profile, you simply click the button and it will automatically import that person's profile into your database for you. The customized ATS that I have with Recruitemy that we develop for our members does not have that feature. All right, let's talk about your marketing and networking setup, right? So a lot of people feel they need to have a website in the beginning. I disagree. I don't think you need a website to start your recruiting company. That should not be holding you back, right? So logos, business cards, websites, put that stuff aside right now. Let's work on making one placement. Let's get a placement. Let's get some money in the door, some cash flow going, and then you can repurpose those profits into things like that. Now, with Recruitemy, we do provide websites for our membership base for under $500 that are custom built. I'll give you guys a preview of what those look like real quick here. So here's a website that we did for one of our members who's currently in the medical space. Really simple, custom built, nothing too elaborate, but again, under $500, you can't go wrong. It's a storefront. It makes you legitimate. If people are checking out you and your business, they're going to see that you have a website. So we do this for our members when you join. Here's another member of ours where we did their website for them. It's more along the tech IT space. And then here's another member's website that we did along blockchain and technology. So we got you covered there. We can help you with websites and logos when that time comes. But again, don't let that stop you right now from moving forward with starting your recruiting business. All right, social media presence, that's free, right? So yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and get your Instagram business page set up, your Facebook page, Facebook group possibly, Twitter account. Those things are free to do. And I would absolutely recommend getting them set up, especially for branding purposes. And the applicant tracking system that we have with Recruitemy allows you to really do one post and get it out to all of your social media channels with one push of a button. That's a pretty cool feature, saves you time. It's very efficient as well. All right, moving right along, I would recommend having some research tools like sourcing tools for finding candidates, for finding clients. But let's talk about finding candidates because that's where I think you should start in the beginning, right? There's been this big debate in the recruiting world when you first start your company. Where should you go? Should you start prospecting for new companies, for hiring managers, or find a candidate first? I believe because recruiting is such an intangible product, we're dealing with human capital. The closer to the dollar activity is going to be sourcing a phenomenal A-player passive candidate that you can then market to thousands of companies through video messaging and through cold email. So how are you going to find these candidates? The first thing is LinkedIn. Again, LinkedIn is free. So great sourcing tool for finding candidates. Some people go ahead and purchase LinkedIn Recruiter. I have never had LinkedIn Recruiter. I've heard it's quite expensive, but what I would recommend is Sales Navigator. So here's a hack for Sales Navigator. For whatever reason, if you get Sales Navigator from your smartphone on the app, you can save $20 a month. It's $79.99 versus $99.99. And Sales Navigator, from my understanding, is the same database as LinkedIn Recruiter. So why not save some money, start there? And that's a great place to source clients for sales intel, as well as sourcing candidates. Eventually, you're going to need some type of background check services or company, but I would not make that a priority right now. We can deal with that down the road as we make 1 or 2 placements. Let's talk about your workspace setup. Really easy and simple, right? This is why starting a recruiting company is such a great thing and it's so lucrative because your expenses are so low. You're not dealing with inventory, parts, pieces, transportation costs, warehouse costs. You're working literally from your home, from your kitchen. So I'd recommend having, again, a laptop, a printer, a cell phone. That's all you need to start, right? Nothing else. Make it simple, guys. All right. And as far as having an email service, which is going to be crucial, I use G Suite, Google's product, and it's been great. I've used them for many years. It's very easy to use. So I'd recommend G Suite. There's never any spam issues when I use my Gmail for Business account, and it's worked out great for me. It's going to cost you like under $20 a month. All right, let's talk about how you're going to start your recruiting business. So I have a really good place for you to go where you can save a ton of money. And I'll include the link below in the description for you to set up your appointment as soon as possible. All right, guys, so go to this site. The link is below. I have partnered with Prime Corporate Services where they will get your new company, your new entity off the ground for you for free. The only thing that you're going to pay are your state fees and your hard costs, but they'll do a consultation with you. You can go ahead and schedule a call right now by clicking the link below and get your entity set up. This way you can start collecting payments. You can provide the clients that you're working with proof that you have your articles of incorporation. So this is going to be very important to have in the beginning. You'll also want to get your federal tax ID number through irs.gov, but my partners at Prime will help you with this and give you guidance towards this. This is going to be very important for you to set up on day one. All right, let's dive into like time tracking, taxes, payroll. If you're going to engage in the staffing model in the beginning, which is placing contract employees, then you are going to need a vehicle for tracking taxes, hours, time cards, payroll. And when I started my first recruiting company many years ago, I used a PEO service, Professional Employment Organization. I'd recommend using that. So let's talk about what is a PEO. And right here, I went ahead and pulled this side up. So the PEO then becomes the employer of record for tax purposes, and the client company continues to direct the employee's day-to-day activities. PEOs charge a service fee. A PEO's service fee could range from 3 to 15% of total gross payroll. Essentially, guys, you can still run your recruiting business, right? And just have the comfort of knowing that this PEO has everything else handled in the background when it comes to paychecks, direct deposits, time card tracking, and also withholding of taxes from your employees. Now, in some instances, PEOs will also offer you a workers' comp solution, which is something that you're going to have when you do the staffing model, right? Depending on what industry niche or skill set you're going after, your workers' comp could cost you more money if it's a riskier skill set. I used to place tower climbers. You can only imagine how risky that is. So I was paying a lot of money for workers' compensation every month towards my payroll. If you're going to be placing like office administrators or IT tech guys who are working at a desk internally, don't worry about it. Workers' comp really won't be an issue for you. Here's one tip as well. When you go to start your recruiting company, you're coming up with a name for it. Eliminate the word recruiting and staffing from your company name. The reason being, in my experience over the years, the underwriters of insurance companies do not like our model. They don't like the recruiting and staffing model because it's a transactional temp model, right? And it comes across as not so stable. So get rid of the words recruiting and staffing from your company name. It's going to give you a much better chance locking in on a premier insurance company for a lesser premium. Now, as far as how much capital would you need when you start your recruiting business, I started my first company with a loan from my father for $10,000 many years ago, back in 2000. So you don't need a whole lot of money to start your recruiting business. But if you're going to be jumping into staffing, you're going to need more money to support payroll, obviously, because every week you're going to have a payable and your collections with your client typically are going to be net 30 payment terms. There's going to be a cash float there that you're going to have to be responsible for and essentially act as a bank. Now, there are some solutions if you don't have a lot of cash on hand. I used a factoring company back in the day. Guys, go ahead, just Google in factoring services for payroll for a staffing company. They are a dime a dozen. They are begging for your business. And essentially what a factoring company does is you're going to sell your invoice to them, but they're going to give you 80% of that invoice upfront on day one, versus you having to wait 30 or 40 days for your client to pay you. That way you have immediate cash flow to work with in the beginning when you start your new recruiting business. I always recommend being self-funded if you can. Another option is to get a loan, a line of credit, a small business loan from the SBA, or even the bank that you're using, depending on your credit score. That's a much better option than using a factoring company. But if you're not in a position to do that, the factoring company is a good short-term solution. The final piece here is going to be your insurances. So what do you need? So you're going to need general liability and workers' compensation. Again, insurance brokers are a dime a dozen. Maybe someone who does insurance, reach out to them, let them know you're starting a new recruiting business. What do I need? But from my experience in starting recruiting companies, general liability and workers' compensation is really all you'll need. Because if you're going to be doing staffing, your client is going to ask you for your COI, Certificate of Insurance. Your insurance broker can produce that for you. It should take seconds. Send it over and you'll show your client that you have workers' compensation, general liability, usually about $1 million in coverages. And I would say it's going to cost you anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 as a premium. That's usually the range. So make sure you budget to have the proper insurances in place. And there you have it, guys. So those are the parts and pieces, the tools and resources that you'll need to launch your recruiting company in the very beginning. Let's get after it.